Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I of course am Carl, and we are back with another weekly upload. And I hope I am sounding better. My voice has been coming back slowly. It was getting there really well last week. So I hope you guys all are hearing me a lot better, a lot more clear, a lot more normal. I will say I do still kind of have a lingering cough. So if there are some breaks in the video, that's why I'm having a coughing spell. But anyways, thank you all for being patient with me as I get better from my little illness here the past couple weeks. It has been very frustrating, especially with everything else on my plate. For those that didn't know, I am currently in school and working full time and working as the illustrator for mine and my wife's books. So life has been hectic. So I will even admit to you guys that this has basically been my entire interaction with vacuum cleaners, well, since June, I want to say. I mean, I know we're in July, it's not been that much time, but either way, you kind of get the point. I will admit to you guys, I have been getting a little bit burned out. There has been so much to do with vacuum cleaners lately that honestly, I've kind of been diving into some of my other interests lately, trying to just kind of get my mind onto something else so that it's not constantly on it. So, but I do want to thank you guys all for tuning in because this has kept me on my little schedule. It has kept me busy in my collection, especially as next weekend I will actually be moving one of my vacuum storage units up north. Me and my wife probably come the very end of this year, if not beginning of next year, are moving back to our hometown of Puyallup, Washington, or Spanaway kind of area, kind of near Tacoma, for those that know the area. But we're going back up north. Our time here down south, I currently live in Olympia. It is coming to an end, and we're kind of ready to get back to our old area. We miss the friends that we have there, the opportunities we have there, and the area we just love a lot more. But we have loved it here in Olympia, but we are ready to kind of go back home. So, but I am moving up one of my units. It's not one of the two big units I have. I have one that is dedicated to my display, and then one that is dedicated to my shop and sale machines and overflow. And then I have a third unit, which was for the stuff that I brought back from Kansas, from my late friend Jay Devine. That unit currently has skyrocketed in its monthly rent. So I found a much more affordable unit up north that is going to be in a lot nicer of a place, and it is going to be closer to where we're going to be living again. So it makes more sense for me to move everything up there, or at least start the process. I realize it is only July. We still have like 4 months still before we need to move, but these are the things that take the most time, so I figured why not get going on it sooner. But that is on the way. We may see some pictures of the move in our next video. Not quite sure. It's going to be a kind of a whirlwind. With being in school at the same time, it has definitely taken the wind out of my sails for working on my collections and hobbies. So it's definitely kind of been a lot to deal with lately. So, but I appreciate you guys all being patient with me, as well as the last video. I know was a couple days late, unfortunately, but honestly, one night I had to film, and when I went to edit, I just couldn't. I was completely out of it and ended up passing out. But I do appreciate you guys being patient with me. It is definitely a very taxing time period of my life, so I appreciate the patience. So, but without further ado, let's get on to our video for today and take a look at another really cool one. All right, everybody, so we have got another really cool one to take a look at today. I know that we've kind of been dwelling on the 90s a lot lately, but to be honest, I have a lot more 90s machines in my collection, and well, they have been quite popular. So I figured I would get another really, really cool one out today. So what we're looking at is a 1995 Eureka WorldVac hardbag upright. I say hardbag because it has this big plastic box which houses the paper bag inside. They also had a soft bag, which would have been more of a cloth bag that covered the paper bag inside as well. But the Eureka WorldVac was the flagship model in the early 90s for Eureka. Now, they were largely made of plastic, obviously. So these particular machines were not the highest in durability. So they did tend to get brittle over time, which is why we really don't see very many of them anymore. Now, the WorldVac series would later be transitioned over to the Powerline and Bravo series, with which case they were roughly the same machine, except they had different amperage motors and some different options. Now, this thing is chock full of options, so we'll get into that in a minute. But the WorldVac really was an interesting machine, not for what it was representing, but really what options you got in a vacuum cleaner. Now, vacuum cleaners at this time frame, the 90s, were where we were really, really seeing the planned obsolescence come into play. Now, as I believe Eureka was still being made here in the United States, however, they did have to cheapen up a lot of their production line in lieu of profit on sales. Now, that doesn't mean that this machine did not have the options that one of their older metal machines, such as the F&G bag machines, for those that know those, would have had. Now, you still would have had a lot of metal components under the hood. It's just this hood, this big plastic covering was all plastic, and if you ran it into a wall hard enough, you would shatter it. Even in 1995, when this thing was out, if you had dropped it in its original box hard enough, it would have broken the machine. I know that because my family actually had a Eureka Bravo, brand new, in the box, that had been dropped by somebody at the store that we bought it from. Now, we had bought it from JCPenney's. JCPenney's was a prominent seller of Eureka products throughout the 90s, all the way, and I believe they even still sell them. But either way, we had got it from JCPenney's from my grandmother, and we had tested the one that was on the floor, and it worked great. But when we got it home, it had a bunch of shattered pieces of plastic. We had to take it back and got a replacement. So I know that these machines were brittle from the factory, but they still did perform quite well. You still had a very competitive brush roll. You still had a multi-position height adjustment. You still had a headlight. You even had an indicator right up here that said when your attachments were ready to be used. Essentially, it was just a little green flag that when you just use it regularly in upright mode, the little flag would kind of go hidden after you cocked the handle back. As soon as you locked it back in place, the little flag would come up and fill the spot. But you also had a belt view window right here on the side. So if you were vacuuming and you all of a sudden something wasn't right, or maybe you weren't getting those carpet lines you wanted, and you look down, thankfully the headlight had a little opening that would show right here around where the belt was, and you could see the belt spinning along the armature or drive shaft of the vacuum cleaner. And obviously, if you didn't see a belt spinning or moving, then your belt was bad and broken. So, very, very handy. Kind of wish that some of the early machines had had something similar. Now, the WorldVac logo, of course, this was representative of the time. They wanted to make sure that Eureka was a worldly company, so they utilized that and posted it all over this machine. You have it on the front, you have it on the hood, you have it over to the right of the hood, and of course you had it emblazoned all over the box and everything like that. Really to say that this machine was, able to be used by anybody in the world, I suppose. So very, very interesting Now, one thing that kind of got me, now I've always seen these machines online and pictures and whatnot, but one thing that always got me was the front here. Now, on a regular Eureka upright from like the 70s all the way into the 80s, if you saw a circle right here on the front, that was the dial a nap. It was a circular Oreo cookie looking adjustment wheel on the front that you would change your height adjustment. Now, the height adjustment is a slide up here, so it is not that, but it really is just the logo that they put right here. So, and they definitely promoted the heck out of this machine. I mean, we saw it all over the place. There was another model. I know it kind of looks like it, but this is actually the dark green model that came out. There was a blue one that came out as well, but I'll show an ad for this one right here. Now, this machine was not the top of the line machine you could buy. Usually, this was somewhere kind of around the upper middle range, just with its options. But it still sold very well. A lot of people like these machines. They continued all the way into about the mid to late 90s. I know I saw ads for things with the WorldVac logo on them all the way into like 1997. So it was a namesake that kept going for quite a long time. And I mean, like I said, I even remember seeing these in the stores back in the day. I was born in '93, so I wouldn't have been that old, but you know, you can kind of recall some of these things. So now I've been talking about options. This machine was famous for coming with onboard tools. Now, unfortunately, I don't have all of the onboard tools that would have went with it. But this would have came with a dusting brush and upholstery tool. So those would have gone on these little pegs right here and just kind of sat there. You also would have had your crevice tool right here. So that goes into a slot on the back. There was another space for a spare belt to go right there. And I believe there was a hard floor brush tool that would have gone right here, is a little bit longer, and had a brush along it, so you could do like your kitchen surfaces. Now, luckily, this one does still have its extension wands. A lot of the time, those get lost or taken. You know, maybe you have another vacuum that you replace it with, keep those and the tools for the most part. Now, one cool thing that I noted about this that a lot of vacuums never thought of was, what do you do with your spare bags? A lot of the time, people kept them in a closet, wherever they kept the vacuum cleaner. Maybe it was up on a shelf, maybe it was in a box with other, you know, bits and pieces like the manual and things, or maybe you just bought them as they came or jammed them in the front with the paper bag that the machine was actually using. I've seen it all. Eureka-based machines did something a little bit different so that you never were without a spare bag, or belt for that matter, but they actually created a pocket that went right here that you would have put your pack of bags or a spare bag or whatever. And that way, you know, if you were vacuuming on the go and you need to change the bag like now, you had one ready. Same thing with the belt. Now, having changed belts and bags on this machine, I will tell you it is not a short procedure to produce, but it does get the job done. Now, in terms of Achilles heels on vacuum cleaners, like I said, this machine was kind of fragile, so it wasn't necessarily the top quality compared to others, but there were some very, very obvious issues with machines like this that, well, everybody notes and everybody remembers. Now, the big thing that I've noticed, at least, with Eureka uprights from the 90s is the top cord hook. As we can see, we've got a cord hook. It revolves. Now, there was a little post or peg that was inside of that made it sit upright. So essentially, when you turn it, the post would kind of go out of the way so you could, you know, take the cord off. However, with this machine, unfortunately, if that post or peg got worn out enough, which they all did, this would just kind of float and spin around as it wanted to. So you had to put tension against it with the cord in order to keep the cord hook from rotating. So not the greatest design. I really don't like it. I wish they just used something simple like a spring design like Kirby or so many of the others that came out around that time. A little bit of a letdown there. The other one, I kind of showed it for a second there, the handle grip. Now on these 90s Eurekas, they had a foam handle grip. For whatever reason, Eureka thought that was going to be the best idea they could to make a comfort grip on a vacuum cleaner. Unfortunately, that didn't do it. They degraded, they fell apart. Even this one, you can kind of see has areas of it that are missing and fallen off. When I got this machine, it still has the handle grip, but it had tape along the top because it was falling apart. I took the tape off and kind of tried to preserve what's there, but it is a big reason why a lot of people don't like using this particular machine, just because, well, they also get sticky over time too, and then you just have a handful of foam after you use it once. So this one is pretty solid the way it is, but it is still sticky. Anyway, so those are the features of this machine. Now, I know that there's not a whole lot of good quality in this, with a lot of it being plastic, but it does do very well on the floor. Now, I got this machine from my good friend Jared. It was another one we've talked about over the last few weeks. It was another one that he was getting rid of in his vacuum purge. This was another one that he really, really liked, that wanted to keep, but unfortunately was unable to. So I'm glad that I could give it a home and get it kind of all spruced up and well, display ready. So, but let's get on to our run demo and see how this thing does on the floor. All right, everybody, so we've got the Eureka WorldVac from 1995 all plugged in and ready to go. So let's get this thing moving and we'll see how it does on the floor. Well, everybody, the old WorldVac did a great job on the floor, of course. Totally expected that. These machines have always done really, really well. And of course, once you dial in your height adjustment on the floor, this thing puts down great carpet lines and can really make this crappy apartment carpet look really, really good. So I hope you guys all enjoyed our little run demo for today. Well, everybody, we've come to the end of another one here today. This old WorldVac is really, really cool. I really, really like some of these machines out of the 90s. I know that they aren't really built with the highest quality, but they had such interesting features. They had such different looks. They just had this monolithic, presence about them that was different than the old vacuum cleaners. Most of them having these hard bag setups. Used to have this big inflated balloon that would, really puff itself out, and travel along the floor, cleaning up. Whereas you had something like this, which was more technological and, all these options and things you could do with it prospectively. And, well, it's just interesting to see the changeover from, the soft bag type uprights to hard bag. So, but it is a very fun machine. Jared, of course, if you're watching, thanks again for contributing this machine to my collection as well as the channel, because bringing this kind of stuff to you guys is absolutely what I love, and it is what keeps me going with a lot of this stuff. And, if I can preserve even the most common piece of history for the future so that it doesn't get thrown away or junked, I will. So, but I hope you guys all enjoyed our video today. Of course, I'll include the links down below if you haven't checked out me and my wife's books. We do children's books to help kids with their speech sounds. She is a speech therapist, so she does the writing and I do the illustrating. And there's one about a vacuum. So Of course, if you guys are into it, please go ahead and check that out. I will also include a link to my eBay store. So if you are in the market for a new vintage vacuum cleaner, I know that there's more Hoovers on there right now, but if you're in the market for something like that, feel free to go check that out and pick yourself up something pretty cool. So, but you guys have a great rest of your weekend as well as a fantastic next week. It's going to be a heck of a long one for me, so I'm going to try to get through it best I can. But you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one. Same time, same place, same guy, different vacuum, or vacuums. I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great day, y'all.